Hi book lovers, welcome to my February wrap-up video. It's almost April when I'm recording this, but I have been out sick with one cold after the other most of March, and I simply haven't been able to record anything until now. But better late than never. This is my February cover page, which I set up along with you in my January video. I had 3 books on my TBR list for February, and I got around to reading none of them. But it was mostly because most of them came out in the very last days of February, so they will feature in my March wrap-up video instead, if you are curious about them. I did read a whole lot of other interesting books this month, so there are plenty of book spreads to go through. I read a total of 16 books in February, and a whopping 10 of those were new to me reads. I've colored in the new ones in my February bookshelf to easier keep track of them. My first book spread in February is The Kingdoms by Natasha Pulley, narrated by Theo Solomon. The Kingdoms is an alternate history novel with time travel, and it is told in a non-linear narrative, so it can be a bit confusing at times, especially when you listen to the audio and can't easily flip back to previous chapters and keep track of what's going on. The novel is set in an early 19th century Britain, where England lost the Napoleonic Wars and Britain is now a French colony. English language is forbidden, and most Englishmen are slaves throughout the French Empire. So the setting is extremely fascinating. Our main character, Jem, a British slave, steps off a train in London, and that is his very first memory. He has no memory of a life prior to this, but his owner shows up with a woman who is apparently his wife, and he returns home with them. Shortly after, he receives a postcard that has been held at the sorting office for 91 years. But that isn't the weirdest thing about it. On the front is the picture of a lighthouse in the Outer Hebrides that was constructed only a few months ago, and certainly wasn't around 91 years ago. The card is written in illegal English and simply says, "Dearest Joe, come home if you remember," and is signed only M. Jem picks up life with his wife in London and has a daughter who becomes his whole world. But he can't let go of the mystery of the postcard. He makes sure to get an education in lighthouse engineering, and when the time comes a few years later, he is sent to the lighthouse in the Outer Hebrides to do repairs. And now this very intricate plot picks up as Jem has flashes of a world he can't fully remember, where English won the war, and of a different Britain where English is spoken instead of French. There are so many aspects and narratives to this story. It jumps back and forth in time. We get to experience historic sea battles of the Napoleonic War, violence, madness, along with found family and love. The audio clocks in at 15 hours, and over the course of these hours, the mystery of Jem and the lighthouse and the different timelines will slowly be revealed. And it all has a sort of happy ending, although perhaps not a traditional one. If you're looking for spice, this book has 0, But if you want a unique, intricate story and don't mind entering it with a lot of patience, you might like it. Natasha Pulley's writing is beautiful, and in the end I gave it 4 stars. The fan art from the book I included here is by Steffi, and I'll link to their Instagram in the video description so you can see more of their beautiful art. Next book is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. I think most of you know about this extremely hyped series, so it doesn't need much of an introduction. And the second book is pretty much a repeat of the first book. There's dragons, there's fighting, there's drama. It's not what I usually read, but I read the first book, so of course I had to read the second one as well. I gave it 3 stars. The fan art here is by Roki, and I'll link her Instagram in the description as well, where you can find tons of fan art for this book. Next is Empire of Wild. I found it on my audio service Storytel and thought the plot sounded interesting, even if it's not what I normally read. It is an indigenous horror set in Ontario, Canada, about the Rougarou, a kind of werewolf. The protagonist, Joan, has been searching for her husband, Victor, for a year since he walked out on one of their arguments. One morning, she's drawn to a revival tent in the Walmart parking lot, and when she enters, she hears Victor's voice. The preacher there has Victor's face and voice, but his hair is short, and he goes by Reverend Eugene Wolfe and says he is very much not this Victor of whom she speaks. And thus the mystery begins. I found the premise of the book interesting and the writing was admirable, but in the end I found the story itself a bit underwhelming, and I ended up giving it a 3-star rating. Next, we have one of my favorite authors, Nicky James, who never disappoints. I have had The Devil Inside sitting in my Audible library for close to 2 years, but I simply haven't had the guts to tackle it because of the potential angst and heartbreak and difficult subjects. It is about 2 childhood sweethearts who were sent to conversion therapy by their respective parents when they were teenagers and have been separated ever since. They are adults now and still struggle with the trauma they experienced during conversion in different ways. We have self-harm, substance abuse, therapy, religion, homophobia, and Nicky sure doesn't shy away from these difficult subjects. Oakland and Jameson meet again in their 30s when they attend a support group for victims of a similar abuse, and slowly their friendship and love picks up again, although it is not an easy journey for any of them. Oakland is married to a woman now, and Jameson is still close to his conservative Christian family who wants him to find a nice girl and settle down. It has some truly awesome secondary characters as well, like Geraldine, who is a no fucks given old power horse of a lady. I loved her. 4-star rating for The Devil Inside, and excellent narration by Nick J. Russo, who is Nicky's go-to narrator. Next is For Real by Alexis Hall. They are re-releasing their Spires novels right now, and For Real is the third book and my personal favorite in the Spires series. It's unusually spicy for them and is about two men who meet in a London BDSM club. Laurie is in his late 30s and tired of the scene. He occasionally goes to clubs just to hang out with his closest friends, but he's quite jaded. He meets Toby, who is 19 and brand new to the scene in every way. They pick up a quite untraditional SM relationship where younger Toby is the dom and Laurie is the sub. As always, with Alexis Hall, the book walks the tightrope between laughter and tears. There is a lot of humor, but all of a sudden they overwhelm you with emotion and has you sobbing. It was also excellently narrated by Paul Burton and John Hartley, who both did a stellar job bringing these two characters to life. 5 stars for everything. Last book in my journal this month is another Nicky James, narrated by Nick J. Russo. It is the opposite of The Devil Inside, as it is a low-angst, small-town romance between a grumpy Canadian cowboy and the business city slicker who wants to buy his land. It has humor and heart and found family, all things I'm a sucker for, and a cute kid who wasn't annoying at all, which can often be the case when authors try to write cute kids. I loved the found family vibe between the kid and Easton. Another 4-star read. That was all the book spreads I did in February. My favorite read of the month that made it onto my Cage Match page is For Real by Alexis Hall. Truly wonderful story. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and that you found some inspiration for your next read. Bye!